Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope your Saturday is treating you very, very well. Hope this show finds you in good spirits, because we need that as much as we can for all of these cases and many, many more. And just for yourselves, you know, every once in a while, you just need to jump back and just give yourself some love. You know what I mean? And just envelop yourself in nothing but positivity. But anyway, guys, we are here to have a quick Saturday discussion about a case that kind of caught my eye, and I was like, you know what, we need to talk about this. It is coming out of LA, or the Southern California area, which I think is very, very interesting. And I've also noticed this too. It's interesting whenever we have a case that is discussed from a heavily populated area, I feel a lot of times it doesn't get the focus and the traction it rightfully deserves. I'll explain in a little bit. But nonetheless, we are here to have a conversation about this young woman, 23 years old. She went missing. Her phone was found at the airport, and she is nowhere to be found. And family, friends are desperately trying to find this 23-year-old college student. So we got to talk about it. So do me a favor, please. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. That would really mean a lot. Send those likes past 300 likes. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook and all the other platforms, please be sure to hit that reaction button, hit that like button down below, all those kinds of things. Please be sure to hit that follow button on my Facebook page. Follow me on Twitter or X. Follow my TikTok, okay? Please follow my TikTok. Also, follow me on Instagram. You know, I know some people are Instagram, some people are TikTok. Follow me on both, okay? The Pascal Show, one word. If you're watching on YouTube, crush that subscribe button over here. That would be greatly appreciated. If you want to support the channel, hit that join button down below. If you're watching on YouTube, become a member of the family, okay? These purple lights don't pay for themselves, so I appreciate the help and I appreciate the love. And if you want to support the channel even further, you can go to Patreon. Patreon.com/The Pascal Show. It's on the ticker going underneath me right now as we speak, going that away right underneath me. And of course, you can also check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great and really nice merch out there. Some of the best. Go check it out. PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys, let's get into this conversation. Or as Cuomo would say, what is it? Let's get into this, right? Or let's get after it. He says something along the lines of that. Don't judge me. We're going to get into this, okay? Now, we do have a young woman, okay, by the name of Noelle Lynch. She is 23 years old. She is a student over at the Sacramento State University, if I'm correct. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I'm sure we're going to be looking at some more information here, because this case is still very, very fresh. It's still very brand new for me, okay? But this young woman went missing after getting into a car accident. She totaled her car. Her parents got a hotel for her. She stayed in this hotel room, and then she left on foot. Then, out of nowhere, as her family is looking for her, her phone is found at LAX, which is the Los Angeles International Airport, just so you guys know. For those of y'all who are watching elsewhere, maybe on the other side of the world right now. She has been missing since around April 2nd, April 1st, April 2nd, somewhere around that time. So it's been a little while since she's been missing. And of course, there's reports and things that the family has said that she has had some bouts with mental health. So there could be a factor of maybe a mental health crisis happening here, and hence the reason why she has gone missing. It could also be just an added factor. Maybe she had a mental break and then maybe ran into the wrong people. We don't know. But I have many questions that I hope we can get answered, or at least get out here so that we can get this young woman back home to her family. Now, the thing is, though, okay, this is what I just said a little bit ago, and I'm gonna get it out the way. Okay, I'm going to get it out the way. And don't worry, somebody just asked something. I'm going to get this out the way too. Roxy said, did she total her car in Sacramento or LAX? Don't worry, we're going to explain all that. We're going to talk about that. Hold your horses. Can't say everything all in the one breath. We're going to get into it, okay? Promise you that. But one thing I want to point out, okay? This is very, very interesting information. Or this is a very, very interesting case and situation. Why? Because one, it's in a very heavily populated area. Los Angeles is massive. Many, many people live in LA. Many, many people go missing in LA. All right. Now, one thing I want to say, though, is that whenever you hear these heavily metropolitan areas, these heavily populated metropolitan areas, you don't really hear a lot about the missing cases that go on in those cities, which I find to be kind of unfortunate and messed up. Okay. Like I find that a little messed up because there's plenty. I understand many people go missing in LA. Many people go missing in other heavily populated metropolitan areas, but it's rare when you hear those kinds of cases. Think about that for a second. If it's in a small town, it pops out big time. Everybody and their mama wants to talk about it. We look into it. We want to understand what happened, so on and so forth, right? I mean, aside from, say, Riley Strain's case was very bizarre and had a lot of mystery behind it, for sure. And that's why it grabbed everybody's attention for the most part. But nonetheless, there are plenty of kids that go missing in New York City. Plenty of kids that go missing in Atlanta, Miami, Dallas, Houston, Chicago. I mean, you name it. Go across the entire states of the United America, okay? And there's plenty of kids that go missing every single day. And I think that's really sad. You know, as much as we can cover as many of these cases, we're going to try as best as we can. But what I've noticed in these heavily populated metropolitan areas, you don't hear about these missing person cases very much. Except for right now, this one has stood out. And people are now talking about this. People are out in LA looking for this young girl, for this young woman, Noelle Lynch. That's very interesting. This case has popped out and has grabbed the attention of some people. And hopefully by talking about this, it'll get that out there even more. But again, she's 23 years old. She's a college student. She was visiting with her family. She was driving back from a visit from her family, and she got into a car accident. Then after this car accident, she was put into a hotel. Now, I'm giving you broad strokes. We're going to be looking at an article here very, very shortly to give us all the details. Because like I said, this case is still very, very brand new for me too. Okay. But that's why I'm discussing it with you guys on this live, so we could talk about it together as a family. Okay. So please, guys, do me a favor. All right. Because I know a lot of you guys have questions already, which I have questions too. And hopefully we'll get those answered in this brief show. Okay. But please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Okay. You guys doing that, it helps get the story out there. It helps get her name out there a little bit more. Okay. So please and thank you. Please hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button. If you're on Facebook or on any of these other platforms, please share this story, this case. Okay. She is one that needs to be found and needs to be out here. Okay. But I know that there are people out here that are in Los Angeles searching for her, which is crazy. It's so hard because it's not like this is some open field. Okay, this is not like this is just some open field or a desert or a grassy knoll or river or anything like that. Which I'm not sitting here saying that it's not that it's easier to find people in that kind of situation, but we're talking about the streets. They're out there looking everywhere, and it's a heavily populated area. So this is going to be very difficult to find this young woman. Real talk. Okay. But please hit that like button down below. Okay. That'd be greatly appreciated. Do not forget, hit that subscribe button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Become a member, all that stuff. That'll be greatly appreciated. Okay, guys. But let's take a look at this article here. Okay. Of course, they say college student 23 reported missing after phone found at LAX. Very out of character. Okay. Now, I will say this, that I said it earlier, but they said that during the panty, okay, during the during the lockdown, okay, when we were all locked up, Noelle apparently was struggling with some mental health issues during that time. She was at a completely different college, and of course, because of the situation, because of being locked down and all that stuff, which it had a heavy toll on a lot of us, right? It affected a lot of us, okay? But this affected her. This made her transfer from the college that she was at, okay, to Sacramento, okay? Sacramento State University. So, of course, I feel like that's all important information, okay? Because it comes to play in the details that the family gives in this article and in many other interviews, etc., that they do give out here. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right, so the family of 23-year-old college student from California is spreading the word about her disappearance after the Los Angeles Police Department said she left an apartment, quote unquote, without personal property and may or may not be able to identify herself, as the family noted that her phone was discovered at LAX. So on April 8th, the LAPD revealed in a release that Noelle Lynch was reported missing and last seen just 5 days before she left an apartment, quote unquote, by foot. Now, I know we've been talking about a lot of stories about people disappearing and running off barefoot. Doesn't sound like she was barefoot on this one, okay? Because that seems to be a common theme as of late, okay? Now, let us continue here. Sorry, guys. Just fixing some thizangs. Okay. So, Lynch was last seen leaving an apartment. Excuse me, was last seen leaving an apartment building on foot in the 900 block of East Redondo Boulevard in the city of Inglewood around 5 p.m. on April 3rd. Her father, Mark Lynch, told the outlet that Noelle left home in a quote unquote difficult state of mind and drove to Southern California on April 1st. All right. LAPD did not immediately respond. Okay, moving on. Mark, who said he didn't know where she was going, also revealed that his daughter was in a car accident in Los Angeles on the early morning of April 2nd. So she got into her car and started driving south. She gets into a car accident early the following morning, okay, in Los Angeles. All right. He also told the article, all right, that at least 2 other vehicles were involved and that Noelle's mother, Kelly Lynch, then booked her a hotel after this car accident, okay, before the family drove down toward the area of LAX to meet her. Kelly, the mother, told this local affiliate that her child quote unquote, wasn't hurt in the crash, but her car was totaled. She wrecked that car, y'all. Okay? She wrecked that car. All right. And of course, this is another photo of Noelle. At 12 p.m. the next day, Mark said that Kelly got a phone call from Noelle via, quote unquote, a strange person's phone, and that the student was, quote unquote, mostly not making sense. They say she did not stay in the hotel, which is important right there. She did not stay in the hotel that mom booked for her. And then the other thing is instantly I go, so who's the stranger phone? Who's phone she calling on? Does she randomly just walk up to some random person on the streets of LA and say, can I borrow your phone? I need to call my mom. Or was this somebody that she was hanging out with? If she never made it to the hotel, if she didn't stay at the hotel, who that stranger phone then? Right? I think we're all wondering that same thing. Let's continue. Later that day, Noelle was spotted walking on foot without personal property. Okay, so she was spotted walking on foot without any of her personal property. And it was also unclear why she was at the apartment, according to her dad. So let's continue here. Kelly added that she later found her daughter's things, including a backpack, at the apartment. Now, I'm wondering what this apartment is, because they don't really explain that part. She is seen leaving an apartment building on foot in the 900 block of East Redondo Boulevard in the city of Inglewood at around 5 p.m. And that was on the 3rd of April. You got to remember, so let's just do the math really quick. Okay? Whose apartment, right? Whose apartment, indeed. She gets in a car accident on the 2nd of April. Mama hooks her up with a hotel out near the airport, LAX. Mom and dad hop into a car and drive out to go see her. She never gets into that hotel. She never stays in the hotel room. But she's seen on the 3rd around 5 p.m. So the very next day, after hotel was already booked and all that, they see apparently that she is seen leaving an apartment complex on foot at around 5 p.m. on April 3rd. Now, one other thing, though, let's just so we understand this a little bit more. So car accident, hooked up with the hotel room, right? She gets a hotel room booked, but she doesn't show up to that. 12 p.m. the next day, the 3rd, from my understanding, the 3rd of April, at 12, at around noon, she gets a phone. Kelly gets a phone call. Mama gets a phone call from Noelle from a stranger's phone. And if I'm correct, this was 5 hours before she was last seen leaving an apartment complex in Inglewood. Now, if I got that math wrong, please correct me. But for what I'm getting so far, as far as the timeline, that's how I'm stitching it together. She starts driving down on the 1st of April. She gets into a car accident in the early mornings of April 2nd. Right after that, of course, she's in contact with her parents. Parents hook her up with a hotel near LAX because she gets in this car accident in Los Angeles. She never shows up to that apartment, to that hotel room that they booked for her. The very next day, midday, April 3rd, Mama gets a phone call from Noelle from a stranger's phone. And then 5 hours afterwards, around 5 hours afterwards, She is last seen walking out of this apartment complex that she was staying at, or I guess, in Inglewood around 5 p.m. She never went into that apartment, and she never went into that hotel room and stayed at some person's apartment at the 900 block of East Redondo Boulevard. Interesting, right? Let's continue on, though. Now, clearly to me, it sounds like there might be a little bit of a mental break going on here. That something's up, right? Clearly something's not right here. But main questions I have, main takeaways that I have right now. Numero uno. Who that's somebody's phone? Whose phone was she calling on? Who's the stranger? Numero dos. Who lives in that apartment complex? Whose place was she staying at? If she was actually staying inside that apartment complex, who's the owner of that apartment? And do they have any connection to the actual phone that she was using when she called her mama around noon that same day? Things to ask. Let's continue, okay? Moving on. Her phone was later discovered at LAX Southwest. Okay, so at an LAX Southwest ticket counter, Mark told the outlet, there is no evidence that his daughter boarded a plane. Now, I know my boy T asked the question, is there any footage of her actually in the airport? And let me tell you, they're saying that there's no evidence that she boarded the plane, but that's the question. Is there footage of her actually walking into the apartment? Into the airport. I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying hotel, apartment, and airport. They're all mixing up in my head. I am so sorry, guys. But real talk, is there any footage of her walking into the airport? Is there any footage of her going to this LAX Southwest ticket counter and leaving her phone there? Did they say, "Oh, you don't have any of the needed proper credentials to board this plane? I'm so sorry, you can't fly." And then she turns around and kicks rocks. Or is there any footage showing anyone having possession of her phone and leaving it right there on the LAX Southwest ticket counter? Think about that for a second, because it doesn't have to be her just leaving that phone there. It could be anybody. So is there any footage of somebody leaving that behind? You can't get on a plane without proper ID, guys. And it's not like they're going to, she can just show a picture of Mickey Mouse and they're like, you're fine, go ahead, have a safe flight. No, you got to have proper credentials to get onto a plane. And why wouldn't they instantly, if she was to leave that phone behind as she's walking off, why wasn't anyone saying, hey, excuse me, ma'am, this is your phone? I mean, they're very, very, understandably, very, very vigilant when things are left behind. You know what I'm saying? In an airport, especially in an airport. Think about that for a second. Right? So, why was her phone left behind and no one tried to give the phone back to her if she was actually at that airport? Like I said, something to think about. Footage, all the live long day. I got other questions about footage, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute. I promise you. Let me just finish this little piece here. Okay. So of course, like I said, Her phone was later discovered at an LAX Southwest ticket counter. All right. But there's no evidence that his daughter boarded a plane. He says all that matters is trying to get her back. The more people that can open their eyes, the better. She always calls, he added. This is very out of character. She has had a tough time, but she has always called. Now, the thing is, I mean, even that part where he says she has had a tough time, just that piece right there. And of course, on top of it, this is very out of character, is also a big piece to add into this as well. Okay. It's very out of character. She's known to call. She's very open, or I guess the lines of communication between her and her parents is very, very strong. It's wide open. She is always calling them, texting them, I'm sure, letting them know what's going on. The fact that she even called them on a strange person's phone says to you something. One, it says to me, first it says a couple things to me. One, it says this, that she clearly, for some weird reason, didn't use her own phone, which I'm wondering why. If she had possession of her phone at that time, I'm wondering why. Unless the phone died. It could have ran out of juice. That's totally possible. But it is interesting that she called from a stranger's phone. But that still shows to you that she still was trying to have a line of communication with her parents. So that's not very out of character, because she was still trying to call them. It was out of character that she called on a random person's phone. That's the part that's weird. But I'm wondering if they've traced back that phone number to see who that strange person is. In fact, at this point, it's been 10 days or so since she went missing? Since she was last seen? Okay? Trust me, trust and believe. That person, that strange person's phone won't be a stranger to me no more. I know everything about that mother lover. I'd be going back, checking out who that person is and everything. Trust and believe. Okay? So I would be tracing back that phone number to see what's up and to see if there's any connection to them, to this apartment complex that she was allegedly last seen walking out of at 5 p.m. on the 3rd of April, before she completely just vanished. Another thing, he says, this is very out of character. Well, how out of character is it? Or how do I say this? He says this is very out of character. But if she's had some tough times lately, is it out of character? That's the one thing I want to know. How out of character could this actually be? If she's dealt with some mental health issues as of late, over the past few years, she allegedly transferred to another school. I'm assuming closer to home, because she was having some mental health issues. She was battling some things. She moved from one university to another one. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm not sitting here saying that she's just gone just off the handle or anything, but I'm wondering if there were any other signs of erratic behavior and whatnot before this actually happened. So when he says this is the father, of course, a loving, doting father, but it instantly makes me wonder, when he says this is very out of character, is it though? That's the only question I ask. Now, some of you guys did ask, a lot of y'all were asking about head injury. You guys are so smart. Y'all are so smart. I want to step back and clap to y'all, to my smart family, because of the car accident. Let's talk about that. There's a good possibility she suffered a concussion. Maybe it changed. A blow to the head could change, alter her state of mind at that moment, so on and so forth. Anything is possible for sure. They say that she walked away without any injuries, without any issues that we know of. And also, if she's on the phone with them, right? If she's on the phone with them, having a conversation with them, how would they know if she's been injured or not fully? And even herself, how would she know? She may not know. Her car was totaled, y'all. Car was totaled. So she may not, there might be shock. There may be, a lot of other factors to put in consideration, right? Just some thoughts. But I do have a video. I got some clips I want to share with you guys before we continue on with the discussion. But like I said, I am quite curious as to what happened here. And actually, before we go into that, let me just share this with you guys because this is important. And like I said, people in Los Angeles are out here trying to find this young woman, okay? Noelle Marie Lynch. She's 23 years old. She has brown hair, blue/green eyes. She is 5'8" tall. She weighs about 125 pounds, okay? And this is what they say here, okay? Let me blow this up so you guys can see this. So the Los Angeles Police Department Missing Persons Unit is requesting the public's assistance in locating a 23-year-old female. Noelle Marie Lynch was last seen walking from an apartment complex in the area of 925 East Redondo Boulevard near Florence Avenue and the Inglewood Park Cemetery in Inglewood, California, at approximately 5:30 p.m. on April 3rd. Okay, so the very next day after this car accident, Noelle was wearing a dark t-shirt, green sweatpants with a military logo, and white sneakers. Noelle has an oval birthmark on the inside of her arm. Noelle left without any of her personal belongings. Police are concerned that Noelle may not be able to identify herself and may be in need of medical attention. Noelle's phone was located at the LAX airport. If any information regarding the whereabouts of Noelle Marie Lynch, if you have any information regarding the whereabouts of Noelle Marie Lynch, please contact the LAPD Missing Persons Unit at 213-996-1800. Again, 213-996-1800. Okay. And this is, of course, like I said, you rarely hear stories about individuals that go missing in Los Angeles. Let's keep it real. It's very rare when you hear stories like this. Very. It's the heavily populated areas, LA, New York, etc. You don't hear these kinds of stories coming from here. Sure, there are stories that have people that go missing. People go missing every single day, everywhere, all over the world. But it's interesting that a lot of these missing person cases that come out of LA don't really get even a blip on the radar. And it may be because it's so heavily saturated. Maybe. I don't know. But it is something to think about nonetheless. All right. But she is missing out in LA and no one knows where she is. And they believe that she may not be able to identify herself. So that should also tell you what her mental state is. Again, when the father said, this is very out of character for her, is it though? That's the question I ask. And I ask that in the most respectful way I possibly can say. Is it out of character? Did she show any erratic behavior before she went missing, before this incident? Because you got to remember, you're going to hear in one of these video clips I'm going to play for you guys, they say that she was having issues during the time of the lockdown, just like a lot of us did, okay? But she went through some really hard times with her mental health. She had a lot of battles, inner struggles going on. So in my mind, I go, okay, what was it? What happened back then? Was there erratic behavior back then? Did she show certain signs of this well in advance? Did she do something that was scary or out of character, as the father says? Like I said, if there's a history to this, maybe him saying this is very out of character may not be entirely true. It may be out of character, her not calling as much as she has before. Maybe that's what he's talking about. But I'm wondering about that too. Okay, Olivia, thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. You're awesome with every case you cover. Thank you, Olivia. I really do appreciate that. And Raven, thank you so much for being a member for the past 17 months. I appreciate that, sweetheart. I have 2 sons that have suffered TBIs. We live with it daily. TBI is not always obvious. Just one brain bleed could be debilitating for her. Like I said, I wish we had more information. And thank you so much for sharing that. I'm wondering about that, right? I'm wondering if there is a head injury involved in here or not. And if you mix a head injury with mental health, is that, you know what I mean? Could that be a bad mixture? Could that be a recipe for disaster? You also got to remember, it sounds like she was on this road trip, and she was already, I guess, not in a good state already before she even left on April 1st. So she could be, she might have been going through some things, right? She could have been going through some things, and then the accident could have made things worse. You also got to put in consideration too, before we continue on, think about this for a second. If you're having the worst day ever, think about this for a second. Doesn't matter what mental state you're in. Let's just say you're having the worst day ever. You get in the car, you drive, so you want to go, I don't know, someplace that makes you happy. I don't know. You want to go to the lake. You want to go somewhere to release some of this anger and this stress, or just a place that's quiet so you can think, right? You're having the worst day ever. You get in the car, you start driving, and then you get into a really bad car accident to the point where you wreck your car. You total your car. Well, that makes your day even worse, right? Because it's your ride. So it goes from being the worst day ever to one of the worst days ever, right? Now, imagine adding that with mental health on top of it. Having battles with mental health to begin with, either depression or whatever else that may be going on. That could maybe send you off to a whole other level. That could maybe take you down into a darker hole. Maybe. To the point where maybe you get reckless. You just don't know someone's mental state until you know somebody's mental state, right? So there is a possibility of that. But I am quite curious about the LAX, why her phone was found there. What's that? What's that all about? Is there footage aside from her being seen walking out of this apartment complex? Is there footage of, what else do they have as far as footage walking into this apartment complex? Was she walking in there willingly? Did she walk in there? Was there some sort of struggle? When she was walking out on foot from that apartment complex, was she running from the place? Does she look like she was just in distress? These are questions that I'd love to have answered. The airport as well. Footage. Is there footage of her going up to the counter, Southwest ticket counter, and trying to get her stuff, trying to get her tickets, or anything of that sort, or trying to buy a ticket, whatever it may be? Is there footage? Those are things that need to be answered, and I hope they answer those things very, very soon, okay? Because nonetheless, this young woman is still gone, and no one knows where she is. Let's continue on. We got a video. Press number 1.
New tonight, we're hearing from the parents of a missing Sacramento State student. 23-year-old Noelle Lynch has been missing for more than a week now. She was last seen April 3rd leaving an apartment building in LA. I talked with her parents who say they're worried about her behavior and just want to bring her home.
She's a good person. She's a good human. She's caring and kind.
From the Roseville and Granite Bay area and a graduate of St. Francis High School, 23-year-old Noelle Lynch loves going to the beach and watching the sunset. These are photos sent to us by Noelle's parents, showing her with them and her younger siblings. Noelle's mother, Kelly, says she left their home April 1st.
Next thing you know, she's calling to tell us she's somewhere in Los Angeles and had been in a car accident.
Thankfully, we're
So she just jumps in her car and drives to LA and then calls them randomly and says there's been a car accident. It's so weird.
told she wasn't hurt in the crash, but her car was totaled. Los Angeles police say the 23-year-old was last seen April 3rd around 5 p.m., leaving an apartment building on foot in Inglewood. Police say she left without any personal property and may not have a way to identify herself. Her parents say this is very unlike her.
We had no idea why she was in Los Angeles. And I drove down there early the next day to try and help her.
Okay, I'm going to be real. I'm going to keep it a buck. I do think that there's something going on here, obviously. Nothing sinister. I don't think the parents had anything to do with it or anything crazy like that. I'm just saying there's something obviously going on with mental health. There's clearly something going on with mental health. Why would she jump into a car and then suddenly just drive down towards Southern California, get into a car accident? Family doesn't even know anything about this, except they only know the only reason why they know about this is because of the car accident that she had in Los Angeles. That's it. As soon as she had that, and thank God she had that car accident. Let's keep it real. Thank God she had the car accident. Because if she didn't have the car accident, she would have disappeared without a trace. The family would still be sitting here going, we don't even know where she went. She was going to school. She was in Sacramento, State University, going to school, doing what she needs to do. And then suddenly now she's gone. So thank God the car accident happened because now they at least have an area that they can look at. It would have taken them a long time to get to finding her phone in LAX. Think about that. That's so crazy. But like I said, clearly there's something going on with mental health here. Clearly. This is erratic behavior. Out of the blue, she gets in her car and just starts driving. It's sad, guys. Let's continue. Man.
Parents say they booked a hotel room for her near LAX, where the crash happened, but she didn't stay there. They say her phone was found at the airport. Upset and confused by this recent behavior, her parents say the isolation of the pandemic hit Noelle hard, and UC San Diego wasn't easy for her.
Okay, so she was at UC San Diego. Things were tough for her. Life was not easy there. And I get it. College can be tough. But college can be really tough. Like I feel so bad for any senior of high school or senior of college that had to graduate during the lockdown. I feel so sorry for them. And every other college student that had to go through that time during that lockdown, man, like that's not college. Excuse me. That's not college life. That's like living in prison. Okay? It's terrible. So, and it was hard for everyone. Everyone went through some ish. Everyone, okay? Some people had it a lot, but some people had it tougher than others. And that's unfortunate. And it sounds like she was having a really, really hard time. But maybe some issues that were maybe hidden in the back surfaced during this time. But let me roll that back a little bit, guys.
Upset and confused by this recent behavior, her parents say the isolation of the pandemic hit Noelle hard, and UC San Diego wasn't easy for her.
And it was just very difficult for her to get back on track. And we had several false starts.
So Noelle enrolled in Sacramento State this spring.
We were really happy for her because she had re-engaged, and it seemed like she was making progress.
But then recently, they say her attitude started to change.
Okay, now, okay, hold on. Let me let them finish this quote.
Just over the last few weeks, she was just upset and just
Anxious and disoriented.
The Lynch
Okay, really quick. I'm curious. Finals are coming up, aren't they? I mean, it's been a minute since I've been in college, but isn't finals coming up soon? Isn't it? Could there be a possibility that the stress was just taking over so much to the point where she has a mental break? The erratic behavior surfaces again, so on and so forth. That's one thing I would wonder. Maybe the pressures of passing these classes and all that may have been overshadowing everything else, right? Possibility. That's a possibility. The other thing too is is she on any medication of any kind? Was there a change in her medication if she's taking anything for her mental health? That's something to think about as well. Maybe the dose is too high. Maybe the doses are too little, right? But that could also be a factor into this whole thing too. So I'm curious about that. I got more. We're going to be talking about the car accident here in just a little bit, but let's hear the rest of what the parents have to say on this clip.
Just say, while they are worried about her state of mind, they say police don't suspect foul play, and they're hopeful they can bring her home.
We want to know that she's okay, and then we'd like to get her back and get her help.
Police say she was last seen wearing a dark t-shirt, green sweatpants with a military logo, and white sneakers. Anyone with information is asked to call LAPD.
Yes. Now, one thing I'm kind of curious about, I am very, very curious about, okay, obviously we talked about medication. I think that's important because if she was on medication, maybe there's a factor in her erratic behavior, her randomly jumping into a car and just driving to LA. To me, it sounds like she's trying to escape something, like she's trying to escape the stress. Maybe she doesn't like being there at the school. Now, obviously, I'm not an expert, okay? Nor do I know this family, nor do I know Noelle. But at the same time, those are things that are running in my mind. Instantly, I'm going, okay, maybe she jumped in this car and drove because she just wanted to get away. She couldn't handle the stress. Also, maybe she didn't want to drive home because she didn't want to have to explain herself. Does that make sense? Maybe she didn't want to have the stress of having to explain why she feels the way she feels, or maybe letting her family down, the fear of letting her family down. They even said it in the interview. There's been a lot of false starts, but then suddenly we get her into this Sacramento State University. She starts to do well. Things are going fine. It seems like things are going in the right direction. Yay, right? And then all of a sudden this happens. There may be a fear of letting her family down. That could possibly be it. Hence the reason why that's why she drove and just drove off, right? Because of stress and not wanting to have to explain to her family or see the disappointment on her family's face, maybe. I don't know. Okay. But like I said, this is just all theory and speculation on my part. Okay. But I keep wondering about the medication and if she's had erratic behavior like this before. Right. If she's has medication and if she's done erratic behavior like this before. Clearly something has happened for them to realize that she needed help, that she needed to transfer from the university in San Diego to the university in Sacramento. Clearly something has happened, period. That would show that she's battling mental health. But let's talk about the car accident. Who did she get in a car accident with? Apparently there were two other vehicles that were involved in this car accident. Who are they? Who are those two other people? Or who are the people that were inside those cars that were in this car accident with her? Crazy theory in my head and crazy question. Did she get chummy with one of the people? And they're like, hey, you don't need to stay at a hotel. I got you. Why don't you come over here? We got a spot. Just come hang out with us. It's all good. Just come with us. We got a spot right here. We're right around the corner. Whatever. Right? I am kind of curious about that. Now, I don't know if it was right around the corner, but there's a good possibility that maybe a guy was trying to spit game at her. I'm just saying. They get into a car accident. She's probably frantic. She's probably, scared. She's in LA. She's got a car that's totaled. Maybe these guys are going, what up, though? But then again, maybe these guys are thinking something sinister as well. But the only pushback, because I see some of y'all in the chat being like, maybe she was just being lured in. Maybe they trapped her and all that. Okay, that's cool. I get that part. We've watched and seen and covered way too many true crime stories. But here's another piece you got to remember. There's footage of her leaving that apartment complex, walking out on foot. Now, for a fact, if she was in dire straits, if there were signs of her being distressed, her walking out of that apartment complex, for a fact we would have been known that information. That'd be plastered all over these articles. They would have been said that. Oh, there is distress. There was a struggle. You can see, so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? So we would have been known that, guys. We would have been known that. Okay, if she was being dragged out of the apartment complex or dragged into the apartment complex, or also another thing. I feel like they should, if they have this information, maybe they don't put out this information because there's nothing there. But if she was walking out with somebody else, if she was seen walking with a couple other people out of this apartment complex, you'd think that the news and media and articles would give out that information as well. So obviously, I don't think she was in distress when she walked out of the apartment complex. Remember, law enforcement is not suspecting foul play. That's important to hear. Now, this is, I know, with Sebastian Rogers and all and Riley Strain and all that, those understandable that we're all side-eyeing and wondering what the F, right? But when we see and hear that she walks out of this apartment complex on foot, and there's no added information of like there was signs of distress, that there was a struggle, she was dragged out, there was blah, 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 there were men with her, so on and so forth. They didn't say any of those things. So yes, there's a good, strong possibility that there wasn't any foul play at all, except the foul play of her just walking out on her own and disappearing in the streets of Los Angeles. Now, there could be foul play that happened to her as she disappears out into the city of angels. Maybe that could very well be what happened here. But as far as everything leading up to her disappearance, they're saying no foul play so far. The other question, though, too, I'm wondering, and I know some of you guys are asking about this as well, okay? One of the things that you guys said here, too, car accident, is it even real? I would hope it was real. I would hope that car accident is real. Sure, she could have played that out. That's a possibility, too. But I feel that the family and LAPD would have been like, no, that wasn't real. That was fake. Her car was abandoned on the side of the road, so on and so forth. Like I said, it's what they're not saying says a lot as well, too. You got to remember that, guys. Okay, with the information and the facts that they have given out here, even between the lines, there's a lot that they're saying without even actually saying it. I believe that there was a car accident. I believe that she was not in distress when she was seen walking out of this apartment complex. But I would most definitely want to know who those people are that were last seen with her before she walked out of that apartment complex. Who was that person? Or who were those people? And why did she stay basically the night over at this apartment complex. So those are some questions that I have that hopefully we get answered here soon. The other thing too, they got her phone now. I would sit here and say, hey, can they start looking into her apps, her activity, the text messages, the phone calls she made, so on and so forth? Did she just randomly jump into her car and drive aimlessly towards Los Angeles for ish and giggles? Did she say, I just want to live in the city of angels today? I can't take it anymore here in this school. I hate being in this box and studying these stupid ass classes and whatever. I'm going to Los Angeles. Or did she have a conversation with somebody via some sort of app, DMs, text messages, emails, you name it, that inspired the desire to hop into her car, drive out to LA, where she went and totaled her car and then went missing? Those are the things that I think we need to have answered. Whew. Yeah, modest man. Yes, get that digital footprint. Or as you said, get that digital footprint. Yes, get that digital footprint. I agree. 110%. Get that digital footprint. Who was the one that had her phone that left it at LAX? They say that there's no signs, no proof of her getting on any planes at LAX, but LAX has cameras everywhere. So who had her phone and left it at LAX at that counter? Was it her or was it somebody else? These are the questions that I'm hoping that we get answered very, very soon. Again, digital footprint is absolutely incredibly important with this particular one. And also, who that stranger phone? Who's the strange person that she called? Who's the strange person's phone that she called from? They should be running that back and doing their reverse math and finding out who that is. Because that person could also be the one that was staying at that apartment complex near Inglewood Park. So I'm hoping, as we talk about it, maybe it helps get them closer to finding Noelle. Because it sounds, this is terrible. Okay? It's terrible. And Los Angeles is scary because people go missing in Los Angeles feels like every second there's somebody missing in Los Angeles. And you got a young woman who is, in my mind, in my personal opinion, clearly going through a mental health issue moment right now. And then you got the vicious streets of LA. That's a bad, bad combination. And also, I want to say this too. Let's keep it real. Los Angeles is crazy. Let me explain to you what I mean. You can walk down one street and be totally fine. Turn the corner and be in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's like that. It could be the nicest, ritziest area in Los Angeles. You turn one corner, you walk down one block, and suddenly you in trouble. Suddenly you in distress. Okay? Because you walk down the wrong side of the doggone street. It is insane, but it is very, very true. Okay? So, you know, hey, AGC, you know I ain't lying. Okay? Okay? I got friends. Been to LA many, many times, and I'm telling you right now, it's like, yeah, just turn on the MLK. What? Turn back around. Bang a Yui. Run! Like it's like that. It's bad, guys. It's bad. All jokes aside, it's bad. So if you have somebody who doesn't know the streets like that, and they're just walking aimlessly around everywhere. I hate to put that fear. You know, if the family's watching and listening right now, my heart goes to you guys. Real talk. I am praying for you guys. And I hate to put that fear in your mind. But at the same time, if she is in this mental state and she is walking aimlessly around in these streets and she doesn't know the layout of LA, what's safe and what's not safe, this is a recipe for something very, very bad. And I'm hoping that you guys find her very, very soon. Because like I said, you could turn one corner and be safe. But then turn that next corner and suddenly, bam, whoa, this is a completely different area. Okay? So I hope they find her very, very soon, okay? My prayers are going out to Noelle, all right? Anyway, guys, that is the show. Like I said, I'll keep an eye on this case as well. I'm praying for the family. Real talk, I'm praying for the family because I can only imagine as a, you know, as a parent, I can only imagine what they are going through. It's scary. It's very scary. And, you know, and we're in this place where you have to trust. Let me say this too really quick. You got to trust your kids, right? You got to trust them. She is a grown woman. Okay. She is 23 years old. Okay. She's an adult. Let's just say that. And I wouldn't say a grown woman, but she is an adult and you have to trust them. You know, you can't hover over them all day for the rest of their lives. So you can't really know everything that they do, every move that they make. But at the end of the day, it is very scary, you know, and my heart hurts for this family because we don't know where she is. And if she is in an erratic state of mind, she could be anywhere right now. She could be anywhere. So I'm praying for her safe return. Real talk. Okay, guys? So, again, that is the show. And if you guys know anything about it, please call local LAPD, you know, the LAPD. Let them know if you have any information, so on and so forth. I wanted to put this story out there, this case out here, because it deserves light under the sun for sure. Okay? And I will keep an eye on this case. Do not worry. We will be talking about it if there's more developments in this particular case. Okay? So, and of course, we're covering so many other cases too. So we will be having some updates a little bit later on. Not tonight, but there will be some later on for sure. So please do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button down below. That would be greatly appreciated. Share some love by hitting that like button down below. It gets this story out here. Noelle's name needs to be out there. The more we talk about it, the more we hashtag her name, the more we get it out there, the more we can hopefully get closer to finding Noelle. She is out there in the streets of LA. She is in the city of angels right now. And that family needs help finding her. So please share the love. Hashtag her name. Hit that like button down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Hit that follow button. If you're watching on any of my platforms, that'd be greatly appreciated. Please and thank you. Okay. Hit that join button down below. If you're watching on YouTube, become a member. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/The Pascal Show. It's on the ticker right down there. Okay. And of course, check out pascalmerch.com. Okay, guys. Anyway, guys, hoping for the safe return of Noelle and all of the people that we have been covering since the dawn of this show. But if you see something, say something, guys. It's time to get going, guys. Much love to you guys. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. If I don't see you guys deserve it. Okay? And let's bring this young woman home. It's time to go. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. I'll see you guys very, very soon. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.